Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 1st of July 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, now then, just a quick mentioning of our JFD Bank YouTube page here, to which you can always subscribe in order not to miss any of our videos that we produce on a daily basis and in different languages. And yep, so feel free to check us out, and I believe you can find them useful, and we'll always be happy to kind of see you there in our webinars. Also, the research page that we got here on jfdbank.com, you can check us out here. We do provide like good analysis every morning, just explaining what happened, let's say the day before that, and what to expect this upcoming day. So yep, there's a lot of information, so feel free to check us out, and like I said, yep, you could find it useful. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the Dow Jones. Now, looking at this one, last week it closed slightly here, or well, should I say, around the 26,600 level, and it closed below its April high. So this April high, which was the previous all-time high here before, and basically sorry, the all-time high for this year, and basically closed below this. Now, looking at the cash index right now, and you can see that it is currently trading around the 26,850-60 area. So basically we will be opening with a huge gap here to the upside, and the most important here is that's going to be close to this 26,907 level, which is the new kind of the new all-time high for this year, because still we need to overcome this 26,952 zone, which is basically the all-time high for this index, which was reached here back in 2018 in October time. So in a way, for now, guys, be very careful here. Of course, this is looking quite interesting, because if we're gonna have a nice opening gap here to the upside, it's going to be close to the highs of this year, and near the 26,970. But if it gets a nice good push today, then in a way it actually could even revisit the all-time high near the 26,952. But if that fails to withhold, well, guess what? I mean, we are looking at a new all-time high for the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index. So be very careful here, keep an eye on it. Very interesting developments here. The only thing is that in terms of the downside here for us, in order, let's say, to aim for lower areas, now we're going to take a very conservative approach and wait until we see a drop back below the 26,465 zone, and then we will aim for slightly lower areas like the 26,250 area, approximately around there. But a slightly maybe better area of potential support could be seen here near the 25,959 zone, so which marks the low of the 12th of June. So but then again, I'll repeat myself, this is only in the scenario if we see a drop below this 26,465 area. And for now, again, like I said, we are going to see a nice opening gap here to the upside, and this, to be honest, is going to be very close to the highest point of this year. And if it continues to push higher, then this is where it could test the all-time high near the 26,952 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. If we get a nice push here above this, then yep, we are looking at new levels, and to be honest, it could be a good opportunity here to test another nice beautiful number of 27,000. So in a way it has got a good chance of doing that, but again, let's see if it actually overcomes these two levels here. Jumping into Brent oil now very quickly on that one, and basically we do have the OPEC meeting kind of happening today and tomorrow as well, so also keep your eyes on the WTI. But in this situation here with the Brent oil, you can see that I've covered this one actually. Let me just reiterate that I've covered this one last week, and I was telling you guys to keep close on these two levels here, the highlighted one. So you can see that we managed to drop back below the 65.70 level. The commodity slid below the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart and traveled all the way here towards the 64 zone, but kind of was never it wasn't able to kind of to close a daily candle, even a daily candle, or even actually a 4-hour candle. It wasn't able to close below that. So you can see that this area acted as a very nice area of support. This is where my arrow was here. Basically, I was saying that we need to see a nice good close below the 64 level before we could consider, let's say, a further slide lower. That never happened. The commodity reversed back to the upside, but it found good resistance around here near the 66.79 zone, or in a way you could round it up towards the 80. So the 66.80 zone, that's where it got held here today. So you can see that now it's trying to push back down. Again, we are not going to rush into this yet, because what we're going to do here is we're going to take a very careful approach and wait until we see a pop above the 66.80 zone. This is where, of course, the 67 level could get met, but if that fails to hold, then yep, this could be a very exciting here for the buyers, as we could see this one traveling all the way here towards the 68.06. Yep, for now this is only what we're going to target, because just again right now, given that the OPEC meeting is kind of taking place, and of course it's taking place tomorrow as well, that's why we're going to be very careful with this one. We're just going to go step by step, and if we see a push towards the 68 level, then we're going to reevaluate it again and see what it wants to do, how it's behaving. But for now, like I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to just aim for the 68 level if we see a nice good push above the 66.80 zone initially, and then of course just for that better confirmation of the a break of the 67 level, yep, could open the path towards that higher level. For now, also from the very short term perspective, keep your eyes on this area. Still the 65.70. In a way it could act as a nice area, as nice bouncing ground for Brent oil here. So that's why keep your eyes on this one. Let's see how this is going to play out. This is also not far from this 200 EMA. You can see that this is for today. This is looking quite positive, because it is trading above its pivot today. It is above its 200 EMA, even though it's now sliding a little bit back to the downside. But again, we've seen this happening many times, so in a way we could see this one correcting a little bit lower, testing the 65.70, and then maybe rebounding and pushing up again. So but this is of course a bit of a risky move here. For those who are more on the cautious side, just wait until we see a clear break above the 66.80 initially, and then another break above the 67 level, and then yep, we could potentially target slightly higher levels. Jumping into a few pairs now very quickly, and the first one I want to touch on is EURCHF. Now this is a very interesting pattern here. So I like one of these when these occur, and basically we do have a nice downside resistance line taking from the high of the around 9th and 8th of May, something like that. Basically from the very short term perspective, we do have a nice rising channel formation here, which started off around the 20th of June. You can see that the pair is now pushing higher. It is trying to make its way higher, but it's kind of struggling near this upper side of the of this potential rising channel formation. So or shouldn't say a potential, but a rising channel formation. So in a way, if this is going to hold again, we may see this one correcting back down down, potentially traveling all the way towards the lower side of this rising channel formation. And if that holds again, then another push higher could be possible. So in a way, as you can see by the arrow here that I've got, so this is a scenario that we're keeping in mind. In a way, it could play out nicely if the upper side of the rising channel formation is going to hold. Now, if it fails to hold, and if we see another push higher here, then, well, of course, all eyes are on this downside resistance line, because if we get a nice push above it, then I mean this could be a nice move here for EURCHF bulls. Could see more of them jumping in potentially and driving this one higher. The only thing is that probably just for that better confirmation, in a way, what you could do here is wait until we see a push above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and only then kind of we could get slightly more comfortable with the upside. And by the upside I mean the 1.1264 zone, which as you can see acted as a very nice area of resistance around the 27th of May, around the 28th of May, and also around the 12th of June. So good potential target, but then again, I'll repeat myself, only if we see a push above initially above this downside resistance line and this 200 EMA. For now, from the very short-term perspective, keep your eyes on the upper side of the rising channel formation. If it holds, we could see this one sliding a little bit back down, and then all eyes are of course on the lower side here. If this breaks, if the lower side of the rising channel formation breaks, then, well, I mean, there are some good support levels here underneath, like the 1.1079 or even the 1.1054 marked by the lowest point of June. So in a way, what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna sit this one out and just wait until we see a drop below the 1.1054 before kind of targeting further declines, and this way a break below the 1.1054 would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and this is where it could become interesting for the bears again. So that's why, guys, be very careful. Let's see how this is going to play out, and initially, like I said, let's see how this upper side of the rising channel formation will eventually will it actually hold, or will it break, and we will see if a further push, a little small push higher here. But then again, like I said, all eyes are going to be on this downside resistance line. AUDUSD, very quickly on this one. So as you can see by the highlighted areas here, these are the ones that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. So this morning we did manage to reach the area around the 0.7031, approximately around there, from which the pair reversed and pushed down. But what's interesting here is that it managed to break this steep upside line, which in a way, of course, creates this slightly negative atmosphere here for AUDUSD, but it continues to balance above this 0.6988 zone. So of course, the fact that it already dropped back below the psychological 0.70 level, that of course creates a bit of a bearish atmosphere here. But in order, let's say, to continue targeting slightly lower areas here, we need to see a drop below the 0.6988. Ideally, of course, I would like to see a close of a daily candle below this. But if, let's say, we see a 4-hour candle closing here already, then in a way we could start considering lower areas. But then again, like I said, anything could happen. We could see a strong reversal back to the upside again. But that's why, guys, be very careful here for now. Keep your eyes on this 0.6988. If we see a nice good break, a good clear break below this, then the next target for us is around the 0.6972, or even actually, as you can see where the arrow ends here, and this is our target, a nice good 0.6940 level. As you can see, it previously acted as a good area of support here back on the 24th of June and also on the 25th of June. So good potential target, but again, we'll consider that only if we see a drop below the 0.6988, and then let's say if the 0.6972 level fails. In terms of the upside, we need this one to reverse sharply back and clear the today's high near the 0.7031-32 area. If we do see something like that, then this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then target the 0.7060 or even above that. For now, it seems that the upside could be slightly off the table. unless it's a very small correction here, back up here, and then another push lower. So that's why, guys, for now we're going to be very careful in this one. Yes, it did break this steep upside line. Of course, this creates a slightly bearish atmosphere. The pair is below today, it's below the pivot, but to be honest, it's quite already extended to the downside for today. So in a way, that's why we're going to be very careful in this one. If it wants to travel lower, then yep, we'll wait for that break of the 0.6988 level. GBPUSD very quickly on this one, so managed to drop below the 1.2660 level here. It was a very good area of support that we were keeping a close eye on today. So it managed to drop lower, managed to test this area around the 1.2640, from which it kind of rebounded, or should I say actually tested the area a little bit lower than that, around the 1.2635, from which it rebounded and made its way higher again. The only thing is that it got once again held near this 1.2660, but this time from underneath. So let's see if it continues to hold. If it does, then what we're going to do here is we're going to watch this 1.2640 level. A nice good drop below this could potentially lead the pair towards slightly lower areas. Initially we will target the 1.26 zone, but if that fails to hold, then yep, there are some good levels underneath here, like the 1.2560. But then again, like I said, let's not rush into this yet. First, let's see initially what it wants to do with the 1.2660. If it continues to act as a nice area of resistance, then we may see another leg of selling here. But then, like I said, we will watch the 1.2640. A nice good break below that would, in a way, or could potentially open the path towards the 1.26 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. If the pair travels above the 1.2660, then well, I mean, this is going to be our little neutral territory, because for us, let's say, in order to aim for slightly higher levels, or even back to the 1.2760, in a way, we would like to see a good push above this area right here, around the 1.2715. So this is something that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. If we see a nice good push above the 1.2715, the next obstacle could be around this 200 EMA. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, we will target the 1.2760, and then we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do. If it wants to break it, that's good news for the bulls, but if it doesn't, then yep, like I said, we'll take it from there. For now, all eyes are on the 1.2660. Let's see how this is going to play out, because the pair is breaking it to the upside right now. But again, let's say the day is not finished, and let's see how this is going to play around that. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, that's USDJPY. Now, this one opened with a nice gap here to the upside, managed to break this key area of resistance that I talked about last week when I was covering USDJPY, and it pushed above the 108.20 zone, this barrier here, very nice barrier. It pushed above it, and today even already managed to test this R3, so from which it kind of reversed back to the downside. So it reversed back to the downside, but still remains above this 108.20 level. So as you can see, that's why it's quite an important one to watch today, and depending how this is going to end up trading today, maybe tomorrow as well. So that's why, guys, for now, judging from this current situation, if the 108.20 level continues to hold, we may see this one pushing further up, initially targeting the 200 EMA, and then slightly above that we do have the 108.80 level marked by the high of the 11th of June. So good potential target here. If we see a push towards that area, then we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do. Then if it wants to break it, then yep, that's good news for the buyers. Of course, if it continues to hold, we may see a small correction back to the downside. Also, do not forget that we do have a nice small kind of tentative upside line here, which also could come into play at some point. Let's say if we see a nice good push higher here, maybe let's say a test of the 108.80 zone, and then if this holds, we could see this one reversing back to the downside and maybe testing this upside line. But of course, that's a bit of speculation here. Let's see how this is going to play out. If this drops below this upside line. And by the way, actually we can get rid of this line here, this downside resistance line. It's going to be a little bit of in the way here. So if we see a drop below this upside line, then well, in a way we could see this one traveling all the way back here towards the 107.53 area, good potential area of support here. But if it fails, then yep, as you probably follow me now, it might end up drifting further down. But again, like I said, for now we are somewhat more positive than negative. But again, let's say continue observing this 108.20 level. If it holds, then yep, we could see another push higher here initially towards the 200 EMA, and then our target is around the 108.80, and then we'll take it from there. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. Sorry for kind of going through over my time a little bit here, but like I said, I really appreciate you sticking around and watching until the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning, as always, I'm a trader's espresso in the morning, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.